You're listening to Mammalwatching with Charles Foley and John Hall. You can find other episodes at mammalwatching.com/podcast.
Welcome to the Mammalwatching podcast with me, John Hall in New York.
And me, Charles Foley in Minneapolis. How are you, John?
Oh, Charles, I'm so happy to see you again. It's been so long. I've really missed our chats. I really have. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, the new season of podcast, season 2, indeed, and we've got a whole long list of great podcasts lined up for people, which should be really, really fun.
I'm looking forward to it, and we'll talk about that in a bit. I should also say that I think Katie probably speaks for millions of our listeners. My daughter Katie, when she told me she'd really missed the podcast and wanted to know when it was coming on next. So yeah, that is the voice of the youth of today. They're calling for us, Charles. They're calling.
That is the voice of a daughter who wants something from you, John. Sorry to break it to you.
Oh, damn, you're right. So how was your summer? What have you been up to?
Well, summer was very good. I spent a couple of weeks, I spent most of it in Africa, a couple of weeks in Gabon, and where I was leading a trip for Royal Safaris, and then a month in Tanzania. And Gabon was interesting because it was the first time I'd been there, but it actually turned out to be a pretty hard trip, mainly because halfway through, 6 of the 9 of us came down with COVID, and then we had to spend about 4 or 5 days on the grounds of a hotel in Lamborghini, which basically put a real damper on things. But yeah, the Gabon was fascinating, and it's a hugely important country for conservation. Yeah. So over 80% of the country is forest, and it basically has one of the largest tracts of intact Congolese forest outside of DRC, and only 2 million people. Yeah. So, and pretty much all of those live in cities. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty open. And as a result of that, it has the largest population of forest elephants in Africa, and as well as, really big and important populations of other species like gorillas and chimps and bongos and other forest species, etc. So, and what's interesting about Gabon is that 20 years ago, it really didn't have any protected areas. I think it was just Lope National Park.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And then sort of almost overnight, the president set up 13 new national parks, which now cover about 11% of the country. Yeah. And since then, they've been trying to push to develop a tourism market. But the problem is setting up a tourism industry is a lot easier said than done. And the logistics, as you know, of traveling around Gabon are just no joke. There's just a lot of waiting around for trains. Vehicles are hard to get. And we lost a whole day because there was no fuel in the town to refuel the boat that we were supposed to be traveling in on. And in fact, they actually had to send the fuel from Libreville. So doing it Gabon by yourself is probably virtually impossible, particularly if you don't speak good French, which I certainly don't. Yeah. But, on the upside, you have the parks pretty much to yourself, and you can see some really pristine wilderness areas, and so I was quite hopeful for seeing a whole long list of species that you had seen when you went there. So you'd obviously seen the giant pangolin, you'd seen the Zenkus flying mouse, etc. But the problem is that in order to actually see most of those species, you need to be able to walk around the forest at night. And since your trip there, a couple of tourists have been trampled by elephants at night. And I guess that given that they don't have too many tourists to start with, they probably want to keep the few that they've got alive. So they've mostly banned night walks and night activities, which is, it's a bummer. But what the country is really great for is primates. And for me, the highlight was going out with French researcher David Lehman, who you also went out with. And we went to look at the population of mandrills that he's been radio tracking and studying. And I'd seen mandrills at zoos, of course, but I really wasn't expecting them to be so stunning in the wild. And to be honest, the females and infants are rather dull, but the males are just amazing. And when you see them on the forest floor, that the colors just seem to accentuate. And they have these amazing blue and red faces, but it's the buttocks. They're just magnificent. They've got the purples and lilacs and red and orange, and they even have golden testicles. I mean, who wouldn't want to have golden balls? It's like, frankly, it's enough to make you want to reach for the spray paints.
There will be a picture attached at the end of this, not at the end of this episode, but not safe for work. Charles's golden balls.
Yeah, it might put an interesting twist on the Christmas fancy dress party, mightn't it? But
I share. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. They're not about wanting golden balls. I don't actually, but there is a sort of luminosity. The colors of those males. It does seem to sort of, they have their own light source almost in the forest. They shine. It is extraordinary, and that is what I think one of the great wildlife experiences on the planet is being in the forest. That is huge troops of mandrills. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, and there'll be hundreds of them. I think they're up to 600. You can see at once. It's difficult to see them all, but certainly I think we probably saw 100, 150. So yeah, no, it was great. And we also saw black colobus. We saw lots and lots of talapoins, which were great. So yeah, so primate wise, it was a really, really cool trip. I'm sorry I didn't. I mean, obviously the COVID was one thing, but also the stuff being closed at night. It's a real downer, and it's another one of those examples where, we were just lucky to go when we did, and just when these things open up, just go, as we've talked often, rather than postpone for a couple of years, because so often, especially in Africa, things change quickly, and it's just not possible sometimes to do the things that the last year's trips did. So yeah, I'm glad you saw the stuff you saw. No, it was a very interesting trip, and that whole Congolese forest area is amazing. So definitely a country I think people would want to put on their list. But it'd be nice if they could find a place where perhaps there weren't quite so many forest elephants wandering around at night, so you could get out. But anyway. Yeah. How about you, John? How was your trip to Borneo?
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was hard work. We're all jet lagged when we got there, and then it's straight into almost full nocturnal living for the first week. So it was fairly tough, but we saw a bunch of stuff in Dwarshuis, in that lowland rainforest there. We saw 2 sunbears, not for very long. I didn't get any photos, but that was one of my most wanted animals in the world. Yeah, the only bear I hadn't seen, and they're just adorable looking things. So that was very exciting. And then the biggest surprise was a bay cat crossing the road, which I make a nerdy little spreadsheet before I go on trips with all the things we might see, and I give them a percentage chance to predict, try and work out what my goal for the trip would be. And it's usually fairly accurate, at least in terms of numbers, but bay cat, I didn't even put it down. It did not even cross my mind we would see one. We certainly weren't looking. And then they're supposed to be diurnal. And 11 o'clock at night after really heavy rain, we're driving along the road, and we watched clearly a cat sort of jog across the road in front of us, and we had it for a couple of seconds in bins, and I just said it's a golden cat, and we couldn't believe it, but all of us compared notes, including people who didn't have an agenda, a cat agenda, Ian's wife, Tracy, she's not really a mammal watcher, and she's an artist as well, so she sees the world much more clearly than I do, I think, and she had it down completely. A long-legged, small-headed cat, looked a bit like a puma, but much smaller. So that was definitely a highlight. Again, the rules have changed a lot in some of the bits we went to. Like when I first went to Kinabalu 20 years ago, Mount Kinabalu, you could just drive up and down the road and do what you wanted. They've just put up a barrier now, so you can only take a taxi to the top and then walk down. So that curtailed our spotlighting. I think we'd had a decent chance of seeing a banded linsang there, but not just from walking. So that was a pity. But Mike Gordon there, it's worth going to Borneo, obviously for the mammals, but also to see Mike Gordon in action, who is the guide at Dwarshuis, the guide. And he was with us for 2 weeks. He's just amazing. He's such a nice, interesting guy, but it's incredible. He will spotlight for 10 hours straight. We were going out at 8, coming back at 5 in the morning. And right to the end, he was still spotting bats without a thermal scope, bats hanging off twigs, tiny mice, 2-inch long mice in tops of grass stalks. His concentration and powers of seeing things is next level. So he's just such an asset on a trip to have him. So that was a real highlight seeing him again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember you sent me a text when you were there saying, yes, it's just heavy rain, but we're going out now hoping to see something good. And that's when you saw the bay cat.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah.
So clearly whatever, whatever you did worked for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done on that. That's a really, really hard animal to see.
It is. And I know there's so many people out there who love their cats, but I'm still not that excited about it. So I ought to be, but it's just a fairly boring cat, to be honest. But I'd rather have seen a marbled cat. I'd rather have seen a tufted ground squirrel. But I won't complain.
Yes, exactly. I saw some apparently really rare species of bird in Gabon, the sandy scops owl, which basically meant virtually nothing to me. It's just a very small owl that looks very much like most other very small owls.
Was it sand colored by any chance?
More or less, yes. But apparently birders kill to try and see this thing. So anyway, I've got that to hold over them.
Yes, good. And speaking of birders, we have a birder coming up for the first episode of our podcast. We'll get onto that later. So we have it. I thought we could just talk a bit about what's coming up for both of us and for the podcast over the next few months. We are both going to be at the Mammalwatching meeting in Spain at the end of September, right? The first weekend of October.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
There are still places available. So if someone wants to join Charles and me and Manuel and Sophie from Switzerland and Vladimir and others, will be in Spain for what I think is going to be an entertaining few days, I hope, and then some Mammalwatching afterwards. We've been thinking a lot and chatting about the podcast, obviously, and we've decided, I think, to broaden the range of guests we have on this time. We're starting off with a birder, which is a huge move of conciliation on our part, I think, to invite a birder onto this show. I hope we'll get the respect we deserve for this this big step forward. But we're also, you've been talking about museum people. We have we might get, I think, Harriet from Uganda, who's just seen golden cats, wants to come on. And who are some of the guys you've been talking about and women, Charles?
Yeah, so people from the zoo world, people broadly from the conservation world, other general mammal watchers, people who work in the Sahara on ungulates in the Sahara, and so it should be a really fun season.
Yeah, and so thank you very much to the people who've been giving us suggestions, and we have been following up with them with some of these names. So please do keep writing in with ideas, because we've had some really good ideas for people to talk to, including today's guest. So we're at mammalwatching, or one word, at gmail.com. Also, Charles and I have been working on the website with my friend Paul, web designer from Artichoke in the UK, and we have been given very kindly a grant from Rewild to work on the site, given Mammalwatching's role and potential role in promoting conservation through things like primate watching. So we're working on a new website, a new front end, especially a chance for people to share their lists of all mammals and primates and other things, and that is in progress and hoping to have something to unveil in early October. We'll see.
Yeah, and we've taken the advice or the comments from the survey that we put out earlier in the year. So what sort of content people wanted to see, and we will try to add as much as that as we possibly can, and link up to some of the IUCN material that's out there, etc. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think that it should be a really good site when it comes up.
Yes, so lots of change, lots to talk about, lots to think about. But maybe enough from us. Is it time to start the first episode of the podcast, Charles? I
think it is. Yes.
Okay.
Great. So our guest today is a Dutch birder, no less, called Arjan Dwarshuis. And Arjan has the distinction of holding the world record for the most number of birds seen in a single year. which is a quite astonishing feat. So, Arjan, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much, Charles. And
welcome. It's so good to see you here. It's so good to have a bird on. We talk about birds so often, but now we've got a real one on the show. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on. This is like the like a sort of peace treaty negotiation.
That's right.
Like a sort of Middle East peace. This is the equivalent.
Let's see it as a little bit of a crossbreeding session. Yeah.
Yes, I have to admit, Arjan, we are perhaps sometimes a little impolite towards the birders, just because we feel that they get all the attention. But yes, here's the olive branch is being like pushed out across the internet.
And we're so lucky to have such a famous bird. I've been Googling you, obviously. You're a movie star. You're just telling us you've got one of the most successful podcasts in Holland, which is listened to by more than birders by the sound of things. So it's a real honor to have you here. Thank you.
Well, your guys are very welcome. I'm honored to be on your show. Like I said, I've been following, especially you, John, for quite some time now. And well, you won't believe it, but as a fanatic bird watcher, I'm also a bit of a mammal watcher. So yeah, I really like the work you're doing. So I'm really excited to be on your show.
Great. So could you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Arjan Dwarshuis. I can call myself a professional bird watcher. So I'm a bird guide in the Netherlands. So I do guided tours, excursions. I give a lot of talks here in the Netherlands. I actually also gave a TED talk, and I'm going to give my second TED talk in November about conservation through land acquisition. So I'm the ambassador for the IUCN NL Land Acquisition Fund. Then I'm a writer. So I just finished my second book was just published, and actually I just started on a children's book about a great bittern that can talk. Yeah, so that's a whole different cup of tea. And then, I'm also a documentary filmmaker. So I start in my own documentary about my big year, my record-breaking big year, wherein I saw 6,852 different bird species in 1 year. But now, as we speak, I'm with a camera crew already for about 2 years now, filming a documentary series about birds and birding in the Netherlands, like a series that follows the season and bird migration, and also how we all the crisis in with biodiversity in the Netherlands, and the effects of climate change and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's basically what I do.
Fantastic. That sounds like a very, very busy life. So when did you first realize you were a bird watcher? How did you get into this?
Well, actually, I've been fascinated by nature all my life, but I think in essence, I think every child is a naturalist. So we all remember that day when we were in a garden, maybe your grandparents' garden, or your garden of your house you grew up, and you are with a fishing net and a bucket and a magnifying glass, looking for crawling critters and tadpoles and stuff like that. But that interest is slowly vanishes to the background in many kids. But with me that only intensified. So a good example is when I grew up by the beach in The Hague, Scheveningen. And then when I went to look for shells on the beach, I actually, when I was, I think 8-9 years old, I had this closet of this cabinet with all these drawers and with compartments in that are made in these drawers and numbers, and I put all these shells, all the different species in these different compartments, and I looked up the Dutch name, the Latin name. I put it all down in a booklet. So that was when I was, I think, like 9 years old. Wow. And actually, I had the luck that I'm an only child. and my parents, my mom was a travel agent, and they at a very young age I went to countries like Malawi, Zimbabwe, and always to Africa, and there actually I started more with an interest in mammals. So I was really interested in all the mammals. And the funny thing is, when you're like an 8-9-year-old kid with that is very, I couldn't shut up for a single second. I was constantly like, I wanted something to do. At some point, you grow tired of all the elephants and lions. That sounds horrible, but you do as a little kid. And then I discovered that there were also like smaller mammals. So that was the first thing. I was like, I want to see servals and caracals and all the different mongoose or mongoose. I don't know how you. And then I discovered birds. And then sadly for you guys, I
went to the dark side.
I went to the dark side. Yeah, I became a bird watcher. Yeah, and then a really fanatic one. So yeah, that's how it came to be.
So I mean, I love that you're into mammals first. I'm sorry that things went so badly off the rails after that, but
I apologize.
But I know that, you know, unlike some bird watchers, you still are interested in mammals, and you've seen some awesome ones, and we'll get onto that. How do you so when did the love of mammals or the interest return? Did it ever go away?
No, never went away. Because during all my birding trips abroad, so a nice example. So when I was 15 years old, I decided to go on a birding trip, not with my parents, but with a bird watching friend of mine. And we went on this adventure. I told my parents that I was in an all-inclusive hotel for 2 weeks in Alanya in Turkey, but we were not a single night in the hotel. We got on a night bus to the Lake Van in the east, near the border of Iraq. And there I hitchhiked for 2 weeks to look for birds like Caspian snowcocks and other cool stuff. Oh, wow. And well, after that, I did a lot of hitchhiking, birding trips to all these awesome places. And of course, when you travel to remote places and you go off the beaten track, you also come across sometimes really, really cool mammals. And you would be an idiot not to really appreciate those really cool sightings and cherish those moments. So, but simply birds, you do. When you're a birder, it is quite a luxury because birds are ever present all around you. And for mammals, you need to work hard sometimes. And when you're also on a birding itinerary, it is difficult. But for me, it is more the chance encounters and not like you, John. But I do have to say, my latest trip abroad to Oman was more focused on mammals than on birds, actually.
Oh, great.
Okay. And do you keep a mammal list?
Well, I need to. I tried at some point, but that's probably a blasphemy here. But I didn't keep track of all the squirrels and and shrews and that became difficult. So I try to, but I will after this podcast I will find a nice rainy day and I will start on that mammal list, and when it's finished, I will email it to you guys.
Excellent. Yes,
Okay.
We'd love to see it. I bet it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
So, Arjan, of course, you're probably at the moment best known for your big year. Can you tell us about that? How did the idea start? How did it come to you? And how do you actually go about actually organizing something like that?
Yeah. So I knew about the World Big Year because you have all different kinds of big years. You can basically also do a big year in your back garden, see as many species as possible in 1 year, or in your country, or in Europe. But you have one type of big year, it's called the World Big Year. And the original big year basically was done by James Clements. I don't know if you guys know. Like, it's a famous American ornithologist. And he also made a checklist of the Clemens checklist birds of the world. And I got that checklist when I was like 16 or something as a birthday present for my parents. And in the preface of that book, they mentioned big year. So I thought, wow, one day I would like to go on this big year. I think he recorded something like 3,400 and something species, which was very impressive back in the days. And then when so this idea like started in the back of my mind. And then I went, when I was 18, I went on a bird watching hitchhiking trip of 7 months through Southeast Asia. And in the end, I ended up in Peru, and I hitchhiked for 4.5 months through Peru. And in like that combined trip, I already noted something like well over 2,500 species. And I thought, well, I can easily one day go for that record. So, but over the years, in 2008, the record was set by to a British couple, Ruth and Ellen Davies. Yeah, they saw nearly 5,000 species. And then the year before I went on my big year, in 2016, in 2015, you had an American Noah Stricker, and he actually saw 6,042 species. Wow. So that was the record I needed to beat, and to do so because I wanted to do it differently than. So I want to be like one ribbon around the world and one continuous trip, no days rest, only focused on birding. But then Noah did the same thing year before I went on this trip. So I needed to plan it really well. So to beat this record. So it was 1.5 years of planning, emailing hundreds of guides around the world, lodges, to ask if I could stay in to maybe give some promo via my blogs and social media platforms in return. And that is how basically it came to be. And then, I went on this trip with also I had to find some sponsors. So I had 20 different sponsors, I think. And then, it all worked out. And here I am. Big year world record holder.
Yeah, really.
That's in a nutshell.
So the record still stands.
Yeah, it still stands.
That's impressive.
And actually, for the people listening in, because finally my book that I wrote in 2017 and 18 about this adventure is now finally being published in English this winter by Chelsea Green Publishing. So if you're in the US or Britain, you can finally buy that book. So. Really all about my adventure.
Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Well, I do remember the British couple that you mentioned. Yeah. I randomly I was surfing the web and I stumbled across their blog, and they were at that point in Africa, something like that. And so I started following them, and they would update every so often. The internet wasn't so good back then, and I have to admit, I kind of got a little caught up in it, and I ended up buying their book in the end and whatnot. And their figure, what was 4,000 something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4,800 something.
Which like I thought was staggering. So to see over 6,000 is just remarkable, really. So you did that every day, 365 days. Yeah. Can you perhaps summarize some of the highlights and maybe 1 or 2 of the lowlights?
What is good to mention, as an extra drive, I decided to there was a highlight in the end that I succeeded in raising more money for bird conservation than my entire trip cost. So I raised over 50,000 euros for the BirdLife Preventing Extinctions program. And so I'm really happy that was a big highlight that I managed to succeed in doing so. But there were like highlights every day. Like like seeing a harpy eagle in the jungle of Suriname, like 15 minutes, scope filling views, or seeing 2 different Philippine eagles like calling to each other. But also like seeing a Bengal tiger take down 2 different kills in a row. That was also quite
Really?
quite
Wow.
special, and but also, well, the people contacts. It's probably the meeting all these really cool people that are as fanatic as I am in their own country. Local bird guides that also are advocates of conservation, that really help to protect our planet's most critically endangered biodiversity hotspots. And of course, seeing 85% of all the ecosystems in the world in 1 year. Like I saw everything in the world except the poles, Antarctica and the North Pole. So yeah, that was a big highlight as well.
And at what point in the year did you actually break the previous record?
On the 11th of November, 2016. Yeah.
Right. And was that a sort of huge occasion for you, or had you
It
just
was
been...
really funny. It was really funny. So actually, a year before, 3 friends of mine decided to go on holiday to Costa Rica, two of my best friends. And they found out that I was going to be in exactly around that time in Costa Rica. So they secretly contacted my guide, asked if they could join for 1 day. And crazy enough, the day where I set the world record, 3 of my best friends were there. And so it happened to be that they had a bottle of champagne and a box of cigars tucked into their jacket. So I was somewhere in the jungle of Costa Rica after I saw a buffy crowned wood partridge, which was the record-breaking species. Suddenly, one of my friends handed me a bottle of champagne, and I lit a cigar in the jungle.
Oh, perfect.
I could cite one of my big heroes, Hannibal from the A-Team. I could say, I love it when a plan comes
One or two things probably went wrong at some point, or were you mostly pretty much on track?
So when I was writing the book, at some point my editor said, well, you need to write more about stuff that went wrong. And but then I said, well, I hate to tell you, but not much went wrong. So I wasn't sick for a single day, the whole year. So only like I had a little bit of a food poisoning in India, of course, but that was more of a 1 day. And I was actually in Keoladeo National Park, birding from a rickshaw. So I was just being driven around and then puking from the back of the rickshaw. So, and then I spoke to some old guy in the place where we stayed, and he say, I have a good formula for you. You need to drink a double shot of whiskey, then take some paracetamol, go to bed, drink a lot of water, and then only bananas the next day, and you'll be fine. So I did, and I was fine.
Wow.
So and then yeah, of course but only once a flight didn't go. But then I needed an extra day actually on Luzon in the Philippines. And I had calculated, I later found out 1 day extra on Palawan that I didn't need. So actually that disadvantage became an advantage. And I saw all the endemics in Palawan. And then also most of the endemics I could see on Luzon. So, so in the end, yeah, not that, nothing really went wrong actually.
Wow. And did you get many days of rained out, or where you really couldn't go out?
So it was El Nino. It was El Nino year. And so I was in the middle of the rainy season. I was in PNG, Papua New Guinea. And I was also in the middle of the rainy season in Ghana. And I was also in the middle of the rainy season in Suriname. And on all these visits, I was not rained out for a single day.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was dumb luck. And then also it was a leap year, which was also dumb luck because I didn't know it's going to be a leap year. So I also had an extra day. 6 days instead of 365.
Well, I think we generally underestimate the role that luck actually plays in our hobby. You know, some people will go out to places and see absolutely nothing, and then John will go out and he'll see pretty much every species there is to find over there. I keep on telling John that, you know, he's like resurrected. He used to be Florence Nightingale or like Mother Teresa or something like that in a previous life, and so now he's reaping the rewards.
I think it's luck, but I think a really important factor is perseverance, like refusing to give up. I always, like, every day I pushed all the way till the last second. So in my book also I write about, people ask me, well, in your book, very often you find the bird at the very last possible moment. Well, it's true, because I push till there's no time left, and then we go to the airport. So I think it's luck, but it's also dedication and not giving up, and really believing that it could happen any moment. You have to, well, if you, with that mentality, you will succeed. If you have the mentality also with bird watching, I will never discover this rarity. Why do all the other guys always find those rare birds? Then you will never find the rarity. You have to think that new bird for the Netherlands can hide behind that bush that I'm approaching right now. That is the mentality. And you need that mentality in birding, but also in mammal watching, or maybe even more in mammal watching.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was about to ask you, like, psychologically, it must have been difficult some days to keep going. I know I've been on trips and you don't see something that's supposed to be common on the second day. I'm like, why do I even bother? I might as well just hang up my binoculars. And then it's, oh, there it is. Everything's fine. And it's just trying to keep positive. But I can tell you're a very positive person, so it probably becomes easier to you than to some.
And once you got a little taste of the heroin, you want more and
exactly.
more. You want. And I had a lot of heroin in my life.
And I should just point out to our listeners that Arjan told us, because he's now something of a celebrity with his bird podcast in Holland. We get 40,000 people listen to each podcast, and now apparently little old ladies come up and tap him on the back in the supermarket if they hear him on the phone and saying, "Are you Arjan?" So
little old ladies. These are like ladies, 25-year-old girls from a university fraternity. These are not little.
You neglected to mention that point, Arjan, right? I had it down as
no. Also some little ladies. But
Okay, now we're talking.
So apart from the 25-year-old fraternity girls, you've seen some other fabulous mammals on your travels.
I did.
And you've sent me a list of some of the mega species and encounters you've had.
Yeah.
One of them that I'd love to know about, because I just spent 2 weeks in Borneo failing to see one, is the thunder-clouded leopard you saw.
That was epic. It's still the best till this day, the best sighting in nature I ever had, without doubt. So I was in the Denum Valley, birding with Wang Kong. That's the bird guide that we had with two friends of mine from the Netherlands. And we really wanted to see the Bornean bristlehead. Do you know that bird, John? It's a monotypic family. It's a kind of a mix between a bird of paradise and a crow with a bold red head. Yeah, and it's one of the specials. And actually we missed it. But on our last day in the Denum Valley, we were targeting, trying to find that bird. So we were actually staying at the field center, but we went to the Rainforest Lodge. So we decided to split up. So me and my friends, we went on a trail, and Wang Kong, he was patrolling the main road, looking for bristlehead. So we on the trail, we encountered a family of crested firebacks, these really beautiful pheasants that I really want to see. So we were really excited. And then we came to the road. We arrived at the canopy tower, and then Wang Kong was sitting there on a log, shaking his head. And we said, "Yeah, we saw a fireback." He said, "Yeah, but I just saw Sunda. I just saw, back then it was just a clouded leopard. Was no Sunda clouded leopard yet." He said, "I've just seen a clouded leopard." "Oh no, where?" He said, "Yeah, it vanished. It was on the road. It crossed the road." And so we went behind him, really, really slowly, taking a couple of steps into the jungle, listening, looking, another couple of steps. Meanwhile, leeches everywhere, of course. And then after half an hour of just looking and listening, he said, well, it's gone. So we were already chatting. We stepped out on the main road. I looked to the left, 20, 30 meters away from us sat a clouded leopard in the middle of the road in broad daylight. And it just sat there looking up at a squirrel or a flock of birds. And it sat there for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And we just were in awe looking at this, this fantastic mammal and in broad daylight. And it didn't care for us. And it was if we weren't there. And then Dan, one of my friends, he had his camera on tripod, his video camera, but it was near the canopy tower still. So it was like 20, 30 steps behind us. So he started like walking back very slowly. And at that moment, the cloud leopard got up and slowly started walking towards the edge of the road. And then he did managed to get some film, but it was just the tail like disappearing in the foliage. But then I got home from this trip and I opened the newspaper and it said in the headlines, new species of leopard discovered on Borneo, the Sunda cloud leopard. Of course, a cryptic species, but that was the one we saw. So it was extra cool. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So again, dumb luck, but also perseverance, because we were pushing and pushing to the last moment to see that bristlehead, and we ended up not seeing the bristlehead, but I did see it during my big year eventually. But we did see that cloud leopard. Yeah,
fantastic.
So you recently got back from Oman, where you saw some pretty cool mammal species, including Bamford's fox. And you sort of admitted to us that it was almost more of a mammal trip than a bird trip. Is that right?
Yeah, so actually I did this trip so with my friend Sander Smit, and he and his wife, Alexandra, live in Dubai. That's where he works. Me and my girlfriend, Camilla, we were visiting them, and we planned to go on a 3-week road trip all the way to the border of Yemen, through all the way to Salalah in the south, like a whole loop, like 5,000 kilometer road trip through Oman. And actually Sander, he is really fanatic with mammals, more so than birds. And he had actually studied your trip report, because it said that you have been looking for Blanford fox, John, for like 30 days.
No, that was someone else. I think that was Dominique, but
that was it. Sorry about that. But anyhow, he found out about that Blanford fox, which was really epic, and Ruppel's fox or Ruppel's fox. And so because of his enthusiasm for mammals, those became really big targets. And of course, I could only see like 8 to 10, I think 10 new bird species in total. So most of the birds I want to see were at night species that were more active at night, like Omani owl and Arabian eagle owl. So we needed to do a lot of spotlighting. So we got a really good spotlight. And so what we did, basically, we drove around at night through all these bodies, and we had like a huge spotlight, and I was sitting on the roof with my legs like through the roof. And I was we had the spotlight could be plugged into the cigarette lighter, and I was like spotlighting. That's what we did almost every night. So we had like in the end we found like 3 different Blanford foxes, and also
3. Oh wow.
On one night. So I actually managed to take a couple of photographs, not too good, but you can recognize it. And then we want to see Ruppel's fox, and we found out that it had been replaced by Arabian red fox almost everywhere. So we booked a night or 2 nights in the most remote desert camp we could find in that desert south of Muscat. So it was I think desert sands or something that was like 40 kilometers in, and he had like a 4x4, and we had a deflator. So what we did, and with GPS, we just went driving at night, spotlighting into the more remote desert, and then we managed to find actually a den of Rupelsvox, quite far away, but very good scope views, and we saw it pretty well, and also some cheesemans, gerbils, and a lesser Egyptian jerboa, which is really now split as Arabian jerboa. So, and also 6 different sightings of Arabian wolf, Indian porcupine. We had white-tailed mongoose, which almost
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was a good trip, mammal-wise.
Yeah, it's a lovely country. It's an easy, like, I love that country because it's kind of, for me, it feels more authentic than some of its neighbors. It is. It's not as commercialized as the UAE, for example, and there's a lot of wildlife there. Just quickly, the Blandford's fox area where you saw 3 in the same evening, was that the same place I saw mine? That wadi where the owl is? No. A different spot.
Where you saw it was actually where the Omani owl lives.
Yeah.
I think, with that huge cliff face.
Yeah.
I think it's gone there, to be honest.
Okay.
Because we went spotlighting there, and we saw, I think, 5 or 6 different Arabian red foxes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people, and no way it was, because that other wadi was just a very remote wadi, with no other vehicles and no trash, and that's where we found it. And that's where we also found local subspecies of wildcat.
Oh, great.
Which I've also managed to take some crappy photographs of. Yeah.
Oh, I have to get these details from my site afterwards, exactly where this was, if we can share. And
I added the sightings on the observation. I will send you the GPS links.
Excellent. Yeah, cool. So Arjan, now for the $1 million question, or the €1 million question. Why do you think birders outnumber mammal watchers 100 to 1?
Yeah.
What is the reason?
I think it's actually pretty easy, that answer. It's because birds are by far the best studied group of living things in the world, I think, maybe after humans. Second, in Europe, where you have most, I think, people that go out, maybe mammal watching or bird watching, there are far more bird species than there are mammal species, and most of the mammal species are nocturnal, and most of the bird species are diurnal, and also birds very visibly migrate. So here in the Netherlands, we are overflown with waders and all these birds, and that's really visible. And then you really have to work hard, even if you want to see a badger or otter. So it's simply way more easy to be a bird watcher. And also, it's because mammalwatching.com, but otherwise, where do you start? Where do you find trip reports about mammal watching? With birding, there are almost too many trip reports available, too many bird books. Even it's only, I think, very recent that you had a really good checklist of all the mammals of the world. Is there a checklist?
I mean, I have one on my site, but it's one of many. It just changes all the time. Yeah.
Well, with birds, you have one book published by Lynx recently with all the bird species, all the subspecies, maps, fantastic pictures, everything there. So it's simply more easy. So that is why I have huge respect for you guys, because I know how difficult it is to be a mammal watcher. It's simply easy to be a bird watcher.
And I think one of the points is that anyone can pretty much see any bird species. So if they put themselves out there, go to the right place or hire a right guide, etc. Where there are plenty of mammal species which basically, unless you've got a permit to trap them, you're simply not going to see them.
And birds, they call, of course, and they sing. So that makes you can actually record a bird and then play back the sound, and then you can see it. If you want to see some shrew, you need a live trap. You need to be very lucky. You have to know the diet.
Yeah.
of that animal to actually catch. Yeah, it's simply way more difficult. But because of that, you can really pioneer. And that is what I really miss about bird watching. It's quite hard to discover a new bird for science. And I know that guy Niels Boyar.
Yeah.
Actually, I took him out birding here in the Netherlands, and because I followed his big bet year.
Yeah.
And I think he told me how that it's still relatively easy to find a new bet for science. While finding a new bird is practically impossible.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So just to circle back on the when I said that pretty much anyone can find pretty much every bird, you look skeptical. Are there some birds that you are just incredibly difficult for people to see?
Yeah.
What would those be?
Yeah, like there are some birds that are found only in the Ituri forest across the border in the Congo that have been misnetted once and then no sign of, like the Itombwe bay owl, for instance. It's a monotypic genus, I think. Nobody has seen or heard it in decades, and there are some, of course, some petrels, small petrels that we know nothing about, and of course there are simply also birds that have been like misnetted once. And then 60 years of absence, and then somebody refines them. So, but in the end, it's far more easy to find birds, I agree, than mammals. Yeah. Not all mammals, but the cool mammals, the really difficult ones, the small ones.
Yeah. Well, the Ituri is also a place that has lots of absolutely magical mammal species. And when that finally opens up, that's obviously going to be a hot destination for mammal watchers, but I didn't factor in the bird watchers as well. Obviously, that's been out of bounds about 50 years.
Oh, you have to go there to find the okapi.
That's right.
You find an okapi and we'll find the owl. I bet that's what happens.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. We'll both be annoyed with each other.
That has to be probably the most the thing you probably want. For you guys, what would be the mammal you want to see most in the world? Would it be okapi?
I think so. Yeah, for me, okapi and then bush dog, the two. They sort of jostle for number one, depending on my mood.
Bush dog is not that difficult, isn't it?
There's no place. I mean, people see them, but there's no place.
Bush dog is in South America.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, you did not.
Yeah.
We're going to stop this right now. I didn't hear that. Sorry, you're breaking up.
I'm shitting you.
Okay. I was going to say, John, there's an eject button on Zoom.
No, I've not seen it. I'm joking. This is a joke.
Yeah, people don't joke about mammals in my world.
I just want to see your reaction. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've not seen it. You can rest easy. Yeah.
My blood pressure is slowly declining. Yeah.
And a copy for me too. Yes, it's basically the target species. So one day it will open up.
For me, it's a snow leopard, but it's a bit cliche, of course. But that's something I would really love to see. But not in one of those places where you're with 100 people.
No, Mongolia is the place for those, I think, now. You can see them, but it's a little bit more unique.
So following on from John's question about the difference between the birders and the mammal watchers, do you have any ideas of how we can get birders more interested in watching mammals?
Yeah, what would really work is a podcast. I think you're on a good path here. Like the of course the thing that was most needed was a good website where trip reports and stuff are available, and that is now there with mammalwatching.com, so that is great. But it's like bird watching. It also it was not overnight that it became popular with a when I started as a bird watcher, when I was like 12 and I went to high school, when I went birding, my binoculars always stuck under my jacket because I was afraid that the girls in my class would see me as a dusty old
nerd,
gray bearded freak. So, and now you can go to bars and then you can tell you're a bird watcher and you're the celebrity in the bars. And that is
really.
But
Where's this bar?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
took me more than 20 years to get there. So yeah, you have to be patient, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to be more nice to bird watchers. You can flip them. And
That's why you're here. Let's be honest.
That's right.
I will build that bridge for you guys.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's a generational difference in that younger birders are more inclined to kind of do some mammal watching on the side compared to the older birders?
Yeah, and a huge thing here in the Netherlands, because now mammal watching has become actually really popular in the Netherlands. Also, bird watching has become more and more popular.
Yeah.
But a big game changer is now that you have the
thermoscope.
The thermals. I have many friends who have one, and actually I recently went on a trip to look for a European wildcat in the southeast of the Netherlands with thermals, and I saw them with thermals.
Oh, cool.
And because of the thermals, it has become it's suddenly way more exciting. Because spotlighting is already really cool, but with thermals, it becomes much better. And that I think is a big game changer for mammal watching. The only disadvantage, try to bring one to Oman. you are risking your life there, and maybe also when you go to China, you cannot bring it yet. But I guess that's a big game changer.
Yeah. And actually, you've answered a good question for us, because it's really hard to get hold of thermals at the moment. And John and we speculated that it was either the chip shortage or maybe they're all going to Ukraine, etc. But now we know they're all being bought by bloody birders.
Yeah. Well, I for a moment I will not name the brand, but I actually had a little bit of a sponsorship deal with a thermal brand. So actually, for a while, I promoted it. So sorry, guys. All the bird watchers have thermals now. Looking for bloody owls. Sorry.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, looking for woodcocks and owls and night ray. Sorry, guys. It's not what they're meant for.
Do birders use them for birds, or
yes.
On most they do? Okay.
Yeah. So actually, you can really find some really used to be impossible to find birds with thermals now.
Right.
So some really rare relics or pittas, they will roost up in a tree. And if you walk in the general area by night with thermals, you can find them sleeping, roosting.
Yeah. Right.
And that is how people now find African pitta.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Just got back from Gabon, and we found with the thermal a sandy Scops owl.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently is a good bird.
I only heard that species. Yeah, that's a really, really good one. Yeah.
Arjan, thank you so much. That has been an extremely enjoyable conversation. It was really nice to meet you. Great to see the human face of birding and to hear those wonderful stories. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule as a celebrity.
I'm not that famous. I'm not Brad Pitt. Come on.
Yes.
Not yet. Yeah. Hey, Angelina, come on.
Yes, Arjan, thanks. This has been really interesting. And I have to admit, it's good to see it from the perspective of the birders.
Well, thank you, guys. That was awesome. And I never knew that mammal watchers were actually so normal, funny people. Actually, really normal people. You're not like these night-dwelling freaks that I thought you were. So that is great. Yeah.
He had to get that in.
So thanks a lot, guys. It was really fun. I really appreciate it.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Mammal Watching. with Charles Foley and John Hall. You can find other episodes at mammalwatching.com/podcast.